beauties. How are you? I'm so happy to be home. I had a fabulous time, and I'm going to share a lot of thoughts about that, but I can't tell you how I actually think I heard angels sing when I opened the door to the beehive and walked in here after being away. It had been a while since we had taken a trip like this. After G and I retired, we did quite a bit of traveling, camping in all kinds of different vehicles. We loved going and seeing new places. We met many friends across the United States, and then COVID happened, and we moved, and the cadence of life changed, and so our camping trips became shorter and more infrequent. 3 days here, 3 days there. No, not traveling more than 5 hours from home. So that it had been a while since we had done a trip like this. And in fact, when we traveled down to Sedona, we met up with friends, and we were trying to figure out, the first time we met was on a camping trip in 2016, and then again in 2018. And that is one of the wonderful things about the camping life, is the people that you meet, that your paths cross, and for that moment in time, you kind of know. You know that these are your people, and they become part of this extended family. And it was wonderful to reconnect, because it had been a bit. Although, with social media and with email and texting, you stay connected, but it's not the same as when you're sitting around outside, just surrounded by nature and beauty, and you just talk. You just talk and share and laugh, and so my soul was filled this past trip. There were so many things that I learned and that I embraced, and I wanted to share them with you. I actually wrote a few notes down because it totally cracked me up. We were driving through Boise, and it had been a few years since we had been in Boise. And back then, I'm trying to think, I'm not having like a mini stroke here, but I'm trying to think. Back then, Boise was much like Bend, Oregon was. And when we were driving through Boise, I could not believe how much busier it was. It was incredibly busy. And so I was making a comment while we were on this freeway with all these people. He said, you have to drive through the crap to see the beauty. I know. I just started laughing. I thought that, he said, you need to cross-stitch that. But the benefit to traveling is not only realizing how beautiful our country is, but you can see how our country, what it takes to make our country keep moving forward. We give thanks for our first responders. We give thanks for our military. There are so many things to be grateful for. But when you're traveling in these rural areas, I'm here to tell you, at the top of the list should be the farmer. Because they are eking out our food in the middle of nowhere. you know, trying to get water and grow things. You're just, I mean, I was flabbergasted. You're like in this dry area, you turn a corner in a canyon, and there is a whole bunch of corn, or you got a whole herd of cattle out in the middle of nowhere, and you're thinking, wow, this existed. I was like, how do you think they get the, how many miles do they have to drive to get their groceries? Are they canning and growing everything? We take so many conveniences for granted. And I'm telling you, this country would come to a halt if it wasn't for a farmer. I truly, after this trip, I truly believed it. The other thought I had was we went through several reservations, and it is, it gives you pause on the history of that culture and how the reservation. I was doing research, reading, looking up words. I truly was a dog in a former life, because I meant to do a lot of stitching on the road. I did bring a lot of embroidery, but a good majority of my time I could not stop looking out the window, and sometimes I had the window down and I was hanging out of it, just looking at that, going, what does that mean? Look at how many, every house on the reservation had, you know, 6 to 10 cars parked in it. They are cohabitating in a way that culturally in the cities doesn't happen as much. There's so much to learn and to acknowledge when you travel outside your comfort zone, and I recommend that for everyone, to get a broader sense of how our world turns, Now, on this video, you are going to be blessed, yes, and I say blessed, with a walk around I did. Hopefully I did a better job with it, at Corn Wagon Quilts. Corn Wagon Quilts is in Springville, Utah, and it's like, it's my shop. I mean, literally, most of it is stuff that I love. And I will show you a couple purchases that I made. And I think the reason G likes the van is because I can't fit as much in it. I have to really think about what I'm purchasing and what I bring with me, because there just isn't the room. In fact, I did some Christmas shopping for my daughter-in-laws and actually had to have the stuff mailed to me because I literally had no room. But Corn Wagon Quilts, well, Utah is, I mean, Arizona, Utah, Idaho, Oregon, absolutely stunning views. And in Utah, you kind of wonder what the heck happened. Monument Valley was breathtaking, absolutely spiritually breathtaking. And it is a place that I would recommend everyone at least make one journey. And it is a journey because you just can't even believe it. I know, I sound like I'm like a little bit nuts, but you really can't even believe it. And when we were in Sedona, we actually took a trolley tour, and it was fascinating to me that the guy was from Brooklyn, New York. You know, he looked like he was in his 60s, just a youngster. But I asked him, when we reached a stop, I asked him, why Brooklyn, New York to here? And he said, I loved it here. I can feel that draw, you know, you want to experience something different. And one of the places he took us to was, it was interesting because he said he saw a car parked on the road and he goes, "Oh, the flute player is somewhere there." And he told us about this gentleman who goes up there, climbs the red rocks, plays his flute, and then picks up garbage that people have thrown. Yeah, people everywhere. Every day, and like it's his way to give back to Mother Nature. Yeah. It was hot though. It was unseasonably hot for that time of year. It was in the 90s. And now we're back here where we got the heater on. Yeah. So let me just say that you've already seen the quilt shop in Cottonwood. I did want to show you a couple of things. At the campground, a couple of you have asked what campground I stayed at in Sedona. And it's called the Sedona RV Park. It's a lovely little campground, and the reason we love it is because it is in town, which means that although it feels very rural because there's trees and a creek and everything, it's literally a half a mile walk to the edge of town. So we could, leave Penny parked in the spot and we'd walk into town and enjoy ourselves and go to Tlaquepaque, which is a recreation of a town in Mexico that's filled with artwork, including Skip Armstrong, who is a wood carving artist in Sisters. I loved seeing all of his stuff. But in the campground itself, in the office where you check in, were all these quilted items. And so I purchased a set of coasters with wine bottles and glasses on there because we have to support the maker. Apparently, there's a woman who lives, one part of the campground has long-term, they're behind a gate, but long-term campers, and this woman makes different items and sells them in the office. And so I bought a pack and I gave a couple to my friends Rox and Sue because they are wine drinkers, and they have this cute little coaster. And then I told you in the previous video that I went to a quilt shop called Quilt Limited that had already finished items, and I was flabbergasted because, and I had to buy it. I wanted to show it to you. I told you about it, but designs by Sheila Sinclair Snyder. Yes, a friend, licensed to quilt, and it is one of her little stool pin cushions from Eugene, Oregon. So it's got all the stuff in that. I had to get it. I had to get it. What could I say? So Corn Wagon Quilts, I mean, as soon as you walk in, I actually could hear angels sing. Yeah, I actually could hear angels sing. And it was really hard to go slow. But I saw this pillow. Now, I like the way they made it, and I asked her if they had a kit, which is totally, totally ridiculous of me because I have everything that would be needed to make it here at home. But I don't know, I wanted the kit, but there were no kits available, so I bought the pattern. And this is by Lisa Bonjean, this pillow. Isn't that adorable? But they, in the shop, had made it on that castle fabric. Yeah, it's already pre-quilted. So that's what I'm going to do, because I have some of that. Yeah. And I have all of this stuff. I really have all this stuff, but this is a sooner than later creation. I am definitely going to be working on that. And then I got this sweet little kit. And all the stuff is in it but the charm. It says the charm's not included, but I'm sure I have a charm here. It's really only this big. It looks like it's really big on this pattern, but it's literally that size there. About the size of my head. Yeah. So those are the two things that I bought at Corn Wagon Quilts. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was lovely visiting that shop again. I could have stopped at several other shops along the way, but G was pooped. He was doing all that driving, and when you're going through Salt Lake, it's like 6, 7 lanes of sheer chaos. And if there's something going on, some accident going on, everybody has to stop and look. Everybody does. It's like we can't help ourselves. So we were glad to get back on the other side and kind of make our way down. And after we stayed there, then we stopped in Boise Meridian area. And I'm here to say that that stop was a gift. It was a gift because of the girlfriend that came by to visit. We didn't have time to do any quilt shops there. I mean, I really wanted to stop in Rupert. That's way my favorite, Rupert. But in Meridian lives a friend who I've known for years. I mean, on one of the earlier homes that we had in Bend on a cul-de-sac was, cul-de-sac living is like you get to know all the other families and their kids, and there's always drama and excitement and parties. I mean, it's literally all about cul-de-sac. I mean, they should have a reality show called Life on a Cul-de-sac. I mean, it makes sense to me. But my friend Twileen was part of my quilt group years ago, until she moved to be closer. After her dear Jerry passed away, she moved to Meridian, and to be closer to her kids and grandkids, which makes sense. I mean, we're all doing it. We're all doing it. But so the crossing of paths is sporadic, but when it happens, I realize you get that, you feel that love all over again. And she was literally blew me out of the water. She's so beautiful and living life fully. And that's what I want to see. I want to be mentored by someone who's just living their life in whatever way they can. And she's in her 80s, and she bought a camping trailer to tow behind the car because she's part of a group, and she gave me this magazine. I'm just trying to see if I find the page in here. It's a magazine that comes out for that area, and let's see, I think it says it's on 31. Let's see, nope. Maybe this is on 12. Oh, just hang on there. Yeah, here it is. This article is about the group she belongs to, Reclaiming the Girl Inside. This is called Sisters on the Fly, and I know many of you that live in Central Oregon will recognize that these gals came there and set up their campers over by Kathy Deggendorfer's art studio, and had quilt displays, and they are Sisters on the Fly. And so my friend Twileen belongs to that group and bought this adorable retro camper. Go Twileen. And towing it behind and going camping in her 80s. I say yes. I say yes. No is no longer part of my vocabulary. And that also comes to quilting. I've decided, and this is going to be a long video because I'm doing a lot of rambling, but you'll get to see the Corn Wagon Quilts. I had a thought. I mean, I was mulling it around with my quilt group on texting and in Sisters, and when I went to the quilt stores, I could tell that there was a slight shift, and I was wondering if it had to do with a combination of economics, cultural change, time, but we as a quilting community need to reevaluate and mentor our younger quilters. And I'm not talking about necessarily granddaughters, young kids. That, yes, do it. But I'm talking about working moms. They don't have as much time. They definitely don't have as much money. These families that are struggling to, wow, a yard of fabric for $15, or maybe I might get half a chicken for that. I don't know. I'm blessed that if I need a yard of fabric, I could buy a yard of fabric. I wouldn't have to make a choice between some grocery item and my fabric. I know I'm rambling. So my thought is I have such a curated pile of fabric that I should be able to share. I should be able to mentor somebody and actually show them. It could be someone in your family, it could be a neighbor, it could be anybody, but be able to mentor them without them having to think about, oh, they have to buy a sewing machine, they have to do this, they have to do that, but actually start them in this journey and see if they like it. And I have enough fabric, and I know which ones that I'm never going to give up, but there are a lot of, that's a lot of yardage around here that I've accumulated, and I'm going to see, I'm at my first, we'll see how this works, but my very first quilt victim will be, I hope, one of my cousin's daughters. You know, I know they don't have a lot of time, so it will be, when it can happen, but I don't want them to have to go out and buy a thing, but come here and let's see what we can create. Let's see about us mentoring that next quilter, so we keep our quilt shops vibrant and active, and our designers putting out new fabrics. I mean, who doesn't like a new line of fabric? I mean, really? Yes. So that's, I'm still mulling it around in my brain, but I am definitely working on that. As far as what I accomplished on this trip, thank goodness for Sewing the Good Life. It is such these stockings. these kits come already pre-printed. I've said this before. It comes with the needle and the thread. And I got all 4 of my stockings embroidered. So now they will get fully finished. And these I'm using for gift card at Christmas time. And you see, I still have that much thread left. So, yeah, so I was so excited about that. I started on Kathy Schmidt's October. This is from Spoonflower. If you go on Spoonflower with Kathy Schmidt's, it comes in 3 colorways, and you can start it anytime you want, but I'm working on October right now. I'm really kind of tempted to get the red one or the green one. So fun. And I had in my little pouch, my Yazzie pouch, the red thread that I was using to hand stitch this embroidered pre-printed French General. And so I was working away. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this, whether I make it into a pillow or into a bag. Yeah, so we shall see. This one will be a travel project for quite a while. So the embroidery, when I could stop looking out the window, the embroidery was a lifesaver. Let's see if I have anything else that I wanted to share with you. While I was enjoying my travels, it did not get lost on me on the repercussions of the hurricane. And I do have, none of my family was impacted like you see on the news, but I do have family in northwestern North Carolina, and so I was in contact with them. They lived blessedly a little higher ground. And I was talking with my sister because just last month she was talking about what a wonderful time she had in Asheville and at the Biltmore, touring the Biltmore Estates, and she'd had such a wonderful trip there like a month and a half ago. And now Asheville is basically years from recovery. And I saw some heartbreaking photos and videos of, you know, just homes and that whole area, that whole, the whole Asheville area. And it was so surreal that she had just been there the previous month and was telling me how gorgeous it was, how gorgeous it was. So I decided that one of the ways that and everybody gets to choose the way that they try to support our neighboring states, counties, cities, but I have always thought that money via the Red Cross or for services was the way to go. And so I started doing my research again and talking with family, and I think that's what I'm going to do, because it is, oh man, you know, we have forest fire here, and there have been some horrific ones, but hopefully these families that were hit by tragedy will get some resolution in some way. Yeah, so a lot went on this last month, didn't it? And now we're heading into October. I came home. We are exhausted because it takes, you know, not only the travel days getting here, but then you have to unload the whole thing. You have to clean, laundry, all of those things that when you're camping for that length of time. And then I had to decorate my house for Halloween because it's October. Yeah, so that went on today. Okay, well, I hope you enjoy this video of Corn Wagon Quilts, because you can call up and order or mail order, whatever you want to do. It's awesome, absolutely stunning shop. Okay, you take care, and you know I love you guys. Guess where I am? We're at Corn Wagon Quilts in Springville, Utah, so let's go on in.